One of Georgia's top playmakers will miss the rest of spring football. I'm going to tell you all about that and a little bit more. Dean Legge from Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. And, you know, last season at the end of the 2021 Peach Bowl, JT Daniels became very, very comfortable with Kenny McIntosh. And Kenny McIntosh was one of the reasons why Georgia won that game at the end of the day. Yes, JT Daniels mattered a lot, for sure. Yes, the Georgia defense mattered a lot. But Kenny McIntosh came in and played about as well as you could play at the end of that game and getting Georgia down the field. Daniels told us after the game how critical Kenny McIntosh was, and now Kenny has let the whole world know that he will be missing the bulk of spring practice because of an elbow injury, an arm injury, I'm just going to say. So he'll be out. What does that mean? It doesn't mean a lot for the fall, but it does mean in the spring now you're going to have really 4 running backs rather than 5. Lavassier Carroll has already moved over to defensive back. Does that mean he goes back to running back? I don't know. Probably not. But Kenny really came along this past season. He had a very good sophomore year. And he's a guy that when James Cook is not out there, he's a guy that looks a lot like James Cook in many different ways. He's I don't know if he's smaller than James is. I think in terms of weight he is. But Kenny McIntosh definitely was, I think, a little under the radar, generally speaking, because he was not a guy that was a 5-star player coming into Georgia. And, of course, running back, most of those guys are 5-star guys. So I think, to me, the importance of McIntosh coming into the 21 season is that he's just another guy that Georgia can rely on with the running backs, particularly in the passing game. Again, going back to that Peach Bowl, think about all the beginning of that drive. Those were passes to Kenny McIntosh, who was shaking loose and getting first downs when Georgia needed them, coming out of the backfield, doing what he had to do. I think he had 3 receptions on that drive. I know it was more. I know it was 2. It was definitely more than 1. So JT Daniels was very, very vocal about how important Kenny McIntosh was. And in this league, as everyone watching knows, the more running backs, the better. And, in the spring, it doesn't make a big difference because you've got walk-on guys that can play there. But in the fall, it does. Guys get hurt. Everybody, all of these backs, I can't speak to Edwards because he played so sparingly, but all of the other backs have been banged up at some time in their career. So it's just part of playing running back in the SEC is doing this. But Kenny McIntosh is a guy that in a season from now will be very important for Georgia. He will be at least a top 2 running back. So you don't want him getting sidelined for too long. So I do think coming into this fall that you're looking at probably 5 running backs. We'll see what happens with Carroll. My suspicion is now that he's moved to DB, he'll probably stay at DB. But you've got James Cook going into his senior season, Zamir White going into his final season, which is his junior season. Kenny McIntosh, Zamir and Kenny are both juniors. And you've got Edwards and then, of course, Kendall Milton. They are both going to be sophomores. So next season, you're not going to have Zamir and James Cook. They will not be at Georgia. So Kenny McIntosh's long-term future is extremely important for this program. And what he can do is what's so important. This is a guy that is a change-up back, a guy who really is effective in the passing game. So, he's out for the spring. This is 3 practices in there, got 12 to go. Well, they really have 11 practices to go and one scrimmage, one televised scrimmage. They actually break these up into, there are more scrimmages than you think. So Saturday was full pads. Next Saturday should be a scrimmage followed by another scrimmage followed by G-Day. My math might be a little bit off there, but typically Saturdays are some form of scrimmage. This Saturday, though, I think was basically just the first day in pads, getting used to everything. Georgia was indoors, and you always get injuries in the spring. If this is Georgia's injury, then that's not that big of a deal. He'll return. You're not talking about something that's really massively troublesome. But you don't want to lose guys if you can help it. With Kenny McIntosh now will go through another spring at Georgia without spring practice. But if the fall is any indication, he'll be just fine. But I did want to relay that on to y'all. It is an important thing. You want as many running backs as you can, even in the spring when you're getting ready. But it sounds like this is not overwhelmingly serious. He'll miss some time. And this is the sort of stuff we talk about all the time on Dog Post. I want to make sure that you're over there. We'll see you on the website.